Chapter 18. Caden. I didn't want to eat, because I couldn't. The appetite just wasn't there for food. When I opened the door to the guest room, I strolled into Grayle's childhood room, ready for a shower. Passing, I glanced over at the bed to see Zack snoring like a baby. I imagined I would be sleeping like that, their sound of bliss out of my head when they reached an orgasm together. Yeah, those two were made for each other all right. I'd had plans like that with Grayle before Mr. Control stepped in, and now Zack had stumbled into my dream, and he appeared to have been having a great time in the forest with Grayle's man. Zack had enjoyed and lived the dream with Austin I'd been planning with Gray. When I passed the bed where Zack slept snuggled up under the covers, I slowed to take a good look at him, and a feeling of frustration, to put it mildly, fell over me. I wanted to put a pillow over his head. I'd had too many of these thoughts about Zack lately, so I decided to cut this weekend short and get him home as soon as possible. Kicking the bed, I stood at his feet, then I said, "We're going home today. Eat something and get dressed, and then we're leaving." "What brought that on?" "I thought we had another day," Zack said, wiping the spit from his mouth. "You're nothing but a killjoy, Caden. That's what you are," he said, as if he was a boy throwing a tantrum when he couldn't have his way. "Well, fuck him. The only joy that was killed was mine by bringing him here. He'd fucked around with Austin. As much as I knew what Austin was, I didn't want that to happen to Grayle. I didn't want to bring a man here who would fuck his partner. I didn't want that to happen at all, and I blamed myself for that shit. I wanted Grayle to discover on his own that he loved me and wanted to be with me and not with that sometime partner of his. I had no idea that Austin would fuck anyone that looked at him. Where the fuck did Grayle find him anyway? I didn't even get to ask Grayle about Austin and what made their relationship special. One I'd envied before, not because of Austin, but because Grayle was a part of it, and he appeared to be something special. With Grayle, it had to be something about Austin that made him keep his promise to him, but with Austin, if he fucked Zack, there was a whole lot about Austin that I couldn't see. That's what I saw in Grayle, someone special, and of course Austin did not, or he wouldn't be fucking a not-so-impressive and not-so-special Zack at Grayle's home. However, I was reminded once more of the adage, one man's garbage is another man's gold. Or something like that. Now, the way things went down, I was responsible for what Zack did. I could never convince Grayle that I didn't know about the sexual rendezvous Zack and Austin had. I pinned my glare on Zack, tightened my jaw, locked eyes with him, and said, "You know what you did, Zack." He glanced at me as if he thought he could lie his way out. I narrowed my eyes, crossed my arms to say, "I know what happened in the woods, now come clean." To my surprise, I thought he'd have the good sense to lie, but he didn't. "Well, so fucking what?" he barked. "We're attracted to each other in ways you don't understand." There was no fucking way I could understand anyone fucking Zack, or spending a few minutes talking to him, without the instinct to commit murder coming into a man's head. Well, you couldn't blame someone from thinking about it around Zack, as long as you didn't act on it, but with Zack, in my opinion, all bets were off. Don't you realize that Grayle invited us here, and it's bad manners at best to fuck the host partner, maybe soon to be husband? I prayed that my words about them marrying wouldn't come to pass. They're not getting married. Austin told me so. I rolled my eyes and blew out a hard breath, not because I wanted Zack to be right about that, but because he didn't hear a word I'd said. He just didn't get it. He had no scruples whatsoever. Yet I was happy to hear that if it were true. However, Zack continued, cutting into my thoughts, Austin has issues. He confessed to me that he is bisexual, and he doesn't want Grayle to know. I told him I didn't care, as long as he was true to me. I rolled my eyes a second time. If Austin's bisexual, there's nothing wrong with that, if he has one partner at a time? I questioned. Grayle doesn't know about the woman. Now that was fucked up. He's planning on breaking it off with her. He asked me to wait for him until he made up his mind. And you agreed to that? Of course. I'm not a complete homewrecker. I sucked my teeth in disbelief, and rolled my eyes a third time. There wasn't going to be a fourth, because I needed a shower and maybe a month or two of binge drinking to forget I knew Zack. Hopefully when I'd sobered up, I'd have forgotten how he looked, his name, and what I saw Austin do to him last night. Austin told you all that in the woods after knowing you all of one day? I questioned in disbelief. Did you see us? I wouldn't admit that to Zack, because he'd probably drag me into his shit. That would be more than I could explain, and I didn't want Mr. I'm in love to confess anything more, because Austin could have been telling him a load of nonsense just to get an easy fuck. That had been known to happen, especially to someone like Zack. He should have known better at his age. I wouldn't tell anyone, Zack, if I were you. When we leave today, just tell Grayle that you had a great time, which you did, and we can get out of here, and you do what you need to do with Austin. Can we agree on that? I don't want Grayle hurt and embarrassed in front of his friends. He's a big man, a man close to 40. He should be used to this. If it's not me who will take Austin from him, it will be someone else. Just don't let it be you. Not today, and not around me, I threatened. I stormed away, dropped my clothes in the restroom, and climbed into the shower,